Get a little more out of watching NBA games with Daily Fantasy. Every LeBron James drive, Jokic rebound, or Steph Curry game winner means so much more when you're playing with DraftKings, the leader in one-day fantasy sports. Download the top-rated DraftKings app now and use promo code TBPN when you sign up to get your free shot at up to $10,000 in total prizes every day of the basketball playoffs. Head to DraftKings Pools page to get your shot at huge cash prizes. That's promo code TBPN for a limited time only at DraftKings. Eligibility restrictions apply. See DraftKings.com for full details.
Man, the Phoenix Suns are up 3-1. The Bucks are up 2-1. Team USA roster seems to be finalized, and Scottie Pippen just seems to be mad at everybody. I'm Rose Zapanta, and this is the Clinic All-NBA podcast. Of course, I have the two hooligans with me. JJ, what's up, JJ? How you living?
Doing well. What up, Scottie Pippen?
John, how you living?
I'm living good, man. Living good.
So we just watched the Bucks versus the Hawks. Game 3, the Bucks snuck out with the win. John, what did you think of this game?
Oh, man. My first thought is, I wonder how much money that ref put on the Bucks to win. The one that Trae Young slipped and tweaked his ankle on.
Oh, for real?
No, I mean, it was a close game. You got to give props to both teams. They played well. They hustled. They were making shot after shot after shot. It's unfortunate. Trae Young got hurt. He tweaked his ankle, and clearly he wasn't the same after that. So, but the Hawks only lost by 8 or 9, 10 points. So they were within range. Some of the guys, Kevin Huerter wasn't hitting his shots down the stretch, but overall it was a good game. It was close throughout the entire game. It wasn't a blowout like game 2. So
absolutely.
all in all, it was a pleasure to watch. Hopefully Trae is not seriously hurt, and he's 100% for game 4.
Yeah, JJ, what did you think of this game?
I thought that Trae Young had another coming out party. He had, 35 points within the game, and like what you said in earlier in the pod, our past pod, which was Trae Young has the unique ability to control pace and to get whatever he wants, right?
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
He did that in game 1. Game 2, I think Coach Bud listened to our pod because he actually adapted the game plan to what we were saying, which was
so weird.
Trap early, get the ball out of Trae Young's hands, and have people basically play off of Trae Young's floater and use length, right? For game 3, though, it seemed kind of different. Like, Trae Young was doing whatever he wanted, and it was kind of like same old Bucks. Like, they didn't adapt to Trae Young, and they let him do whatever he wanted, and I felt that they were lucky that Trae Young got injured.
Yeah.
Quick question for you guys. Do you think that we've seen Trae Young for 2.5 series now in these playoffs? Do you think we can put him up there with some of the best shot makers in the league? And I'm not saying he's a Steph Curry or Dame Lillard yet, but do you think he's starting to be in that conversation in terms of his ability to make difficult shots?
I'm gonna go with yes. I think the defense in the playoffs, especially, it starts to tighten up. There are game plans basically catered to Trae Young, and it seems like he's able to beat the defense, whatever defense they're throwing at him, whether it's trapping, doubling, whatever it is. He always seems to put up like huge numbers. I mean, this game in particular, 35 points. If he doesn't get injured, if he doesn't twist his ankle, how much more would he have? I mean, he'd probably have another 40-plus point game, because it really seems like you said, John, earlier, once he twisted his ankle, it was like we never saw the same Trae Young. And RJ, we actually had a video of him twisting his ankle there. JJ, what did you think about, or what do you think about him being as part of the upper echelon of shot makers in the league?
I think he's up there. If there's anything that we learned from watching basketball all these years, is that we want to watch these players show up in the playoffs, because that's the true test, right? People game planning against you. You're going against the best competition, and it's play by play, and it's a game of inches that we said, right? Like, sometimes it's literal, as CJ McCollum could tell all of us.
Yeah.
Slander.
The CJ McCollum stepping out of bounds, man. Yeah, this was kind of a weird game. Like, it really felt like in the third quarter that the Hawks were going to win, especially since Danilo Gallinari just seemed to not miss in the third quarter. But then it was Chris Middleton in the fourth. Surprising. This has to be the best game I've ever seen by Chris Middleton. I don't know if you guys agree with me, but what did Chris Middleton have going right in this game, John?
Clearly, he drank some of the Michael's secret water from Space Jam. I don't know, man. I'll be honest with you. He, like you said, I don't think I've ever seen him play that well, and he was on fire, like NBA Jam on fire. I mean, he just couldn't miss. He was just shot after shot after shot. So, could it be an anomaly? I would say probably, just because we haven't seen this from him on a consistent basis, but if he can at least play half of this for the remainder of the series, that would be huge for the Bucks.
Yeah, 38, 7, and 11 was his stat line. JJ, what did you think of Chris Middleton?
Middleton had a great game against the Celtics. I'm sure our Celtic fans out there would say that when Middleton went off on them, that was his best game. But an interesting stat is that Middleton had 20 points in the fourth and the Hawks only had 17.
Right.
So is that on the coach? Is that on the team? Is that the person that guarded him? Is it on them? So I would assume that after 12 points that Middleton scored on, that you would have to at least make some adjustments, because at the end of the fourth quarter, we've seen teams such as the Nets kind of want Giannis to get the ball so they could foul him. Right. So it's been Middleton playing the savior, and he had one of those games. Like John said, though, it's been inconsistent. So I don't blame, I guess, that they didn't make adjustments. I'll go back a little bit. They made Middleton beat them instead of Giannis, and maybe that was the wrong move for this game.
Right. I think Nate McMillan, maybe he was just kind of, like you were saying, maybe he was okay with Middleton going off as long as Giannis was contained in the fourth. But like you said, it's kind of interesting because the Nets wanted him to touch the ball just to foul. Is this series going the way you guys thought? I mean, we're looking at this series and now the Bucks are up 2-1. Did you think we'd be here, John?
I didn't think it would be this, well, with the exception of game 2. The series is actually pretty close. I think game 2 was an anomaly, and I didn't think that this series was going to go past 5, to be honest. I thought the Bucks were going to, and this is actually before the Hawks started proving everybody wrong. I do think that this is going to go 6 or 7 based on what I'm seeing so far, and the Hawks are for real. Like we said in an earlier pod, I don't think that they're going to back down. I think they're going to come back strong. I would pick them to win game 4 and tie up the series.
Yeah, JJ, what do you think?
The Bucks overall have a better roster. I don't think anyone could argue that. Like, Bogdanović has been off, shooting terribly.
Yeah, agreed.
And it's like closer than it is, so we'll see what happens with the next game, which I think is a must-win for the Hawks.
Do you feel like it's going the way that you thought it would? Like the Bucks are likely to win this series?
I think, initially I would say that by the time that we reach game 4, it would be 2-1 Bucks, and it is 2-1. Like, the Hawks did what they were supposed to do, which was at least still one game away. But now that they lost one at home, they need to tie up the series, because then it's about statistics of winning the next 3 out of the rest of the series.
Right. Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, we'll see what happens for the rest of the series. For me personally, I'm cheering for the Hawks, man. I'm cheering for Trae Young. I'm cheering for that young squad just because they've been such a fun team to watch. They're almost like a Cinderella story, right? And that's what I'm rooting for. We watched the Suns versus Clippers yesterday, game 4. John, what did you think of that game?
So it almost felt like getting a root canal, because it was beyond painful to watch. I mean, and look, a lot of people will say, well, there was great defense, and I think some of it was defense, but a lot of it was just terrible shot taking and shot making. I mean, these guys were just bricking all over the place, and maybe they were tired, but I think in the fourth quarter, both teams combined shot 2 for 20. Great, yeah, a fantastic 10%. So I don't even know what I watched, but it was a close game at the very least. And Paul George missed a free throw. I know you can't pinpoint one thing that cost them the game, but he missed some crucial free throws down the stretch. The Clippers really, well, let me take a step back. DeMarcus Cousins doesn't have a great IQ at all, and I know that this might have been beaten like a dead horse, but he's a vet, right? He's 10 plus years in the league, and he intentionally tried to miss a free throw, but did not know that you have to hit the rim, otherwise it's a violation. So he throws it off the backboard like he was gonna go grab the rebound and dunk it. I mean, man, talk about like that's just a brain fart, right? You can't make that kind of mistake at the end of the game, and not even give your team a chance to get a rebound. That's just, to me, that's inexcusable, right? Especially for somebody like a vet. So the Clippers,
a former All-Star,
right?
Former
All-Star, right?
Yep.
And so they made it. The Clippers let one slip away, and now they got to win the next 3 in a row.
Yeah, would you believe that DeMarcus Cousins only played 4 seconds that game? And that was it. That moment. JJ, what did you think of that game?
Paul George had another game where he had 25% or below field goal percentage, which I feel is like a strong reflection of what he's been doing. I know that he doesn't have Kawhi, but like John was saying, there were opportunities within that game that the Clippers could have took the lead and should have took the lead, and they were playing at home.
And to add to that, Booker and CP3 shot very poorly. I think they shot
poorly, yes.
Between 35, 38% together, which is really bad. And so that's not going to happen often, right? Especially now they're going back to Phoenix. They're comfortable at home. They're comfortable with the court, the rims, and all of that. And it's the chances of you stealing a game are less likely, especially without Kawhi. So,
yeah, I mean, the only man that seemed to show up this game was DeAndre Ayton, and he's been absolutely incredible. I mean, his stat line here, 19 points, 22 rebounds, shooting 57%. He was in playoff mode. Everyone else seemed to not show up for this game. I actually had a question for you guys. There's a link, RJ. I want to know if this is a dub or a dud. DeAndre Ayton showed up to this game, and he was wearing a t-shirt. This t-shirt, I don't know if you can zoom in on that, but it has Devin Booker's broken nose as he's walking in. JJ, what you think of this shirt?
I think that's pretty sick, man. Like, that's your boy. You're embracing like the tough dude.
Yeah.
He just got his nose cracked, and it's just like, represent, this is us. It's kind of badass, I think.
Yeah, I agree. John, what do you think of this shirt?
These guys must have like these custom shirt retailers on speed dial or something. They make these shirts quick.
Super quick.
Right? They probably have a screen printer and all that, make it fast. But I think I'm with JJ. I think it's pretty cool. It speaks volumes in terms of having your back, and we're a team, and there's it's not about just one individual. So,
John, would you wear a t-shirt of Jun with pink eye?
I would wear a shirt of John with an eye patch.
Yeah.
That's a story for another time.
That's a story for another time. Yeah. For all the listeners, trust me, you want to hear that story, but maybe not now.
Definitely. Yeah. Tyronn Lue, believes that Lakers fans should be rooting for the Clippers the rest of the way since they're also in LA. I'm gonna have to ask you, John. Are you cheering for the Clippers? Or what's up?
How do I put this politely? Well, I mean, If I could say it the way I wanted to say it without getting flagged, then I would probably do it that way. But the answer is a definitive no. Absolutely not. I mean, it's just weird to me that just because they're in the same city, you should root for the team. That doesn't make any sense to me. If you look at any team from any sport or any teams that are in the same vicinity or close proximity to each other, they don't root for each other. Do the 49ers root for the Raiders when they were in Oakland? I could ask you two because you guys were 49ers fans, right?
Heck no, we're not gonna root for the Raiders. No way.
Exactly. So I don't know what Tyler.
Crazy, man.
I don't know what he's thinking. And the poll is funny too. The poll said they did a poll. One of the Lakers, I think, channels or one of the groups. They did a poll, and 89% said no. 11% said yeah. I'm pretty sure those 11% were like Clipper fans too.
They want to be part of the family, man.
Hey, man, I'm not gonna hate. All right, the Clippers are in the Western Conference Finals. They definitely passed over the Lakers this season, so I'm not gonna hate on them. But there's no reason why we should root for them. That's crazy. Come on.
I love how you said you're not gonna hate on them, and every single pod you've hated on them. But
It's true.
I was hoping you were gonna. I was hoping no one's gonna call me out on that, man. Come on. I'm trying to be objective here. You can't alienate all these some of the Clipper fans.
Is this series going the way that we thought, gentlemen? Like the Suns are up 3-1. JJ, do you think it's kind of going according to what you thought?
yes, without Kawhi Leonard and this high-powered defensive team in the Suns and high offensive team,
Right.
I think the majority of all the sports enthusiasts would say that Suns in 4, like the homie said, right?
Right.
Suns in 4. But
They gotta add an extra finger to that.
yeah,
shirt.
they got extra finger now. But Clippers had the opportunity to win 2 games, the last 2 games. So
Yeah, John.
that's how I feel.
What do you think?
I got to be honest. So I'm a huge Suns supporter. I think that it would be cool to see them in the finals with the Hawks. But the last couple 2 or 3 games have definitely left me less than impressed. And the reason I say that is because game 2 they won by 1 point on a DeAndre Ayton lob from Jay Crowder. Game 3 they lost to the Clippers. Game 4 they just won. So for me, they didn't win by much. They won by 4 points in a low-scoring game. And for me, the Clippers without their best player, I feel like the Suns should be dominating more. I don't know if you guys feel the same way, but the wins. I mean, they're winning, and that's all that matters, right? But I don't know if they're winning convincingly like they should, considering the Clippers are missing their best player. So maybe I'm looking too much into it. Maybe I'm not giving enough credit to the Clippers who are playing. Maybe they're just playing amazing defense, which I think is part of it. But I feel like the Suns should be beating them by 10, 12 points without Kawhi Leonard. What do you guys think?
I think
Reggie Jackson is the second coming of Isaiah Thomas.
Clearly.
I think that I think it's just showing how young the Suns are. When a team is really young, you kind of just play down to your opponent. And I want to say that there were a few games against the Nuggets where it felt a lot closer than it should have been. And they really should have they only need to stop one dude, right? Just Jokic.
Right.
Like, ain't nobody worried about Facundo Campazzo, right? And this is sort of the same situation where they're really only worried about one dude. They're only really worried about PG, no matter what Reggie Jackson might say or do. And I think that's just what it's attributed to. But I get what you're saying, though, that the Suns team feels so much more talented than the Clippers. So you felt
They
like
should be whipping them, right?
Yeah. I think
I agree,
I might
John.
agree with you, John. I might agree with you, but I think that might be the reason why.
Oh, that's
Anyway,
a good point.
We're gonna move on. We're gonna go to, I guess, some general NBA news, and we're gonna steer away from playoffs. Did you guys see this thing that Chris Bosh said? He said that the Nets' big three in their prime would beat Bosch's Miami's Big Three in their prime. I'm going to start with JJ. JJ, do you think this is truth?
No, I don't think that's true. I don't know what Chris Bosh is doing. I don't know if the relationship between Wade and LeBron and how they're BFFs and they excluded the third wheel of Chris Bosh affected
the
his
banana boat crew.
Yeah, the banana boat crew.
Yeah, for real.
He probably got left at home and he's like checked his IG and he's like, oh, they forgot about me. So I don't think. I mean, the Miami Heat Big Three, they played some impressive teams, and you know they're historical. I'll just say that they're a historical team.
Right. Agreed. John, what do you think?
So, I think it's okay. LeBron and Wade are better than any of the three on the net. Better than any three of the Nets, I would say. Wade is
prime.
maybe in their prime, yeah.
Yeah.
Right as of right now. I mean, obviously, KD, Kyrie, and Harden, their careers aren't over. But if we're talking about right now, Wade and LeBron in their prime are better than any of those three. Bosh is obviously probably the worst out of all six, right? At least in my opinion.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I just don't understand why Bosh would say that. It's maybe JJ's right. Maybe he's didn't get invited to Sunday dinner or something. Maybe LeBron had Taco Tuesday, invited over Wade and Anthony Davis and some homies, and Bosh didn't get the evite. I don't know. Maybe he missed his email or something like that.
It's true. That's probably what they told him, right? They're like, dude, check your spam. Check your spam.
They're like, we did tell you.
I swear, we emailed you.
So no. That's I disagree wholeheartedly, and I don't know if Bosh even believes that.
Yeah, and to add on to what John was saying, the Miami Big Three, when I say historically they were good, their defense was amazing.
Yeah.
You can't say that about the Nets.
Yeah, just lockdown D. I mean, I get what Chris Bosh is trying to say. You know, like maybe the shot making ability of like all three of those players on the Nets is like none that we've ever seen, right? But man, how is he gonna go against his own team, man, with these legends?
His own legacy.
Seriously, it's so crazy to me. Anyway, we're gonna move on from that topic. Team USA. It looks like the roster is shored up. Okay, we have Durant, Lillard, Beal, Tatum, Booker, Levine, Love, Adebayo, Draymond Green, Holiday, Middleton, and Jeremy Grant. What I want to know, the question that I want to ask you guys is, which of these players are talking to each other, tampering with each other, to try to team up either on their current team or the next team? Let's not even worry about salaries. Let's not even worry about that. I'm going to give you a moment to think about it, and then I'm going to start with John.
Oh man, I'm just looking at this list, and I am... First of all, I'm kind of worried that they might not take home the gold medal, I'll be honest.
Ooh.
This is...
Ooh.
And I know that's kind of rough to say, but this kind of reminds me of that team that won, what was it? I don't remember the year, but they won the bronze. They underperformed.
2004?
Yeah.
I think so. But
Yeah.
international, like KD, if we're being honest here on this list, KD is really the only... Well, Dame and KD are like the only true superstars on this team, right?
Yeah,
I would agree with you.
Like day in,
Like
day out,
superstars,
proven
superstars, proven superstars that you can rely on every single game. So I mean, we'll see. The international teams are super. They're getting much better. Luka and all those guys. So we'll see what happens. Sorry, back to your question. I kind of sidetracked a little bit. Man, tampering. Everybody tampers these days. It's just about who gets caught, right? Let's be honest with each other. Or who has the connections with Adam Silver, who has him on speed dial.
True.
I'm gonna say, man, maybe Dame Lillard now with all the stuff that's going on. And I know we probably won't touch up on the details, but maybe they're talking about Dame trying to request a trade to a specific place, and you know, given his his status with Portland, maybe they'll grant him that wish. But I would maybe Dame Lillard. Who else on here? I don't know. I'm just gonna go with Dame. Let me think about it some more and throw it over to JJ.
Yeah, JJ, what do you think?
The team that I would probably want to see would be, I always wanted Vince Carter and McGrady to work out, the cousins, the athletic cousins.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, McGrady wanted to leave, right? So he could get his own shine. But I think it would be pretty sick if Levine and Booker teamed up. Or Booker or Tatum. Those three. Tatum, Booker, and Levine. If any of those three could get a duo going, I think that would be pretty sick. I know that Dame and Draymond, they have an affinity for each other. So, but, you know, Dame, quote unquote, is just like Curry. So I don't know if that's just redoing what you have to do. But I would say that trio of Tatum, Booker, Levine, if those three could get a duo within that group, that would be pretty sick. Like an athletic guard forward team, you know?
Right. Yeah, the Draymond Green and Damian Lillard thing, it doesn't really make any sense to me. It's like, why would Draymond Green leave the greatest shooter of all time for maybe like the 12th best long-range shooter of all time in Damian
Shots
Lillard?
fired.
Well, it just doesn't make any sense, right? It doesn't make any sense. And like, I know that the pairing is good for Portland, and I get that, but Draymond Green's situation is fine in Golden State. There's nothing that he would. Why would he want to change that? You know, I'm just saying. I don't want to spoil it for any of the busted bucket people who listen, but it might not be realistic. But I think Dame Lillard, I think he's gonna be talking to people like Bradley Beal. And I think he's going to be talking to people like Jason Tatum. Like, if you're unhappy, like, in your situation, like, come team up with me. And I think that's probably the main dude who's going to be, like, tampering. Because I can't imagine any of these other dudes, like, really having any pull. Like is Chris Middleton going to go up to Kevin Durant? Like, I don't think so. Like, you know what I mean?
Only to ask him to grab some lunch in the cafeteria over there. Maybe. I don't know if anything else, though.
John, I'll kick it back to you. Who do you think's tampering with each other?
I want to say maybe Bradley Beal. I think Bradley Beal might be doing some tampering over there in Washington. I think he wants to stay in DC, but he obviously, I think if they can get a third guy with him and Westbrook, you know, they can make some noise. They obviously had a rough start to the season, the Wizards, and they came roaring back at the end of the year, and they made the playoffs. So if they can get a third guy over there in DC, we'll see what happens. So I'm gonna say Bradley Beal is probably gonna do a little bit, or top 3 most tampering on this list.
Yeah, Jalen Rose actually had a comment about this team. He actually put it on the Jalen and Jacoby podcast. He was talking about how Kevin Love does not belong on this team. And he said that they shouldn't be scared to have an all-black team. He honestly thinks that Kevin Love might be the token guy that they just kind of dropped in there who doesn't deserve it. He was saying, like, why didn't they get, like, like Giannis Antetokounmpo in there? JJ, do you think Kevin Love doesn't belong on this list?
He doesn't belong, but Jalen Rose, remember that he came from the era where Christian Laettner was part of that dream team, where
Great
it should
point.
have been, for example, Shaq.
Great
so
point.
when people are criticizing Jalen Rose, like, you're making it about race, well, he kind of lived through it. He was actually in college when they got Laettner on the dream team, when there were more quote-unquote deserving players like a Shaq.
Yeah,
so,
he's seen it before.
He's seen it before.
He's seen it before.
Kevin Love, I mean, he did not play well this year. And not only that, there were a few moments that we saw where his effort on the floor was highly questioned. And that's not a good representation of the US of A, right?
Yeah, I agree. John, do you think the same thing?
Yeah, I don't think he belongs, but I wouldn't. For me, I never thought about the race. I never even realized he was the only full white guy on the team. I mean, Zach LaVine is half, Devin Booker, right? He's half, Jason Tatum, or maybe they're just fair skinned. I don't know, but they're not like fully. It's like a fully all black team. So I didn't look at it as race. But Kevin Love, from a performance and what he's done recently in terms of basketball on the court, he hasn't really done anything, right? So I don't know why he would be on this team.
Yeah, Kevin Love 5 years ago would have been awesome on this team. Right. 2021 Kevin Love, I'm not sure. So I wanted to talk to you guys about this story that's buzzing around the NBA right now. This is kind of like a don't get canceled moment for the pod here. But Damian Lillard is receiving some backlash for the hiring of Chauncey Bilups. Chauncey Bilups, I guess, has a questionable past. Basically, there was a case that ended up in a settlement, and it seems as if Rip City, or some of Rip City, has been pointing some of the blame for this hiring at Dame Lillard. I'm just going to open this up to you, John. What do you think of kind of all of this going on?
So, I'm trying to collect my thoughts and approach this in the most PC way possible. I don't know if I'm going to be able to do that, but I think so. I understand why fans are pointing fingers. A lot of people, they just love to speculate, regardless of the situation, regardless of what's happening. They like to speculate and think that they know what's going on. And to be completely honest, it's a little irresponsible to put this on somebody when you really don't know the facts. I mean, could Dame Lillard have a say in the hiring of Chauncey Bilups? Yeah. Did he have it? Maybe, possibly, probably. But you can't just go out on social media and just claim all of these things that you don't know if you're not 100% sure if they're true. And so what happens? You're on social media, you say that it's Dame's fault that they hired Chauncey Bilups, who had a questionable past, some allegations in 1997. I mean, it's an ugly past. There's no getting around that. You know, it's something that I'm sure Chauncey Bilups regrets, or at least I hope he regrets. And who knows if something actually went down. If it did, that's terrible. If it didn't, you know, it's still ugly. But to say that Dame Lillard is the reason that they hired the coach and not even know for a fact, it's a little, I feel like you're jumping the gun there, and I feel like you shouldn't be doing that as fans. And it's kind of come to a head, right? You're seeing Dame Lillard responding to fans. He's defending himself, and it's getting kind of ugly over there in Rip City. And I don't know what to make of it yet, because it's still kind of, the story is still kind of unfolding, but it's not off to a great start, if we're being honest. It's you know, it's getting to a point, I think, where the relationship may not be repairable, but it's still early. We'll see what happens.
Yeah, JJ, what do you think?
Yeah, this is quite a sensitive subject. Number one, I think O'Shea put his star player in a dilemma. He was set up for failure. Right. When you give your star player a list of coaches that you want to hire, and it's on the GM, who is O'Shea, then is it really Dame's fault? I know that some people are going to say Dame's the star player and he has clout, but Dame said that he didn't know. It happened in 1997. All four of us, we watched ball, we're into basketball. We were all like unfamiliar, uneducated, ignorant, naive, whatever you want to say about this whole situation. And when Dame says that he didn't know what happened, I mean, Rip City, do you believe him? Has he ever made you feel like you can't believe what he says? Number one. Number two, have the Trailblazers ever put you in a position where you have to question their ethics and their decision making? The Blazers fully expressed that they did their due diligence, that they looked into this past with Bilups, and they still moved forward with it. Now, if you disagreed with what the franchise did, then maybe it's time for you as a fan to not become a fan anymore.
Yeah.
Because we align our teams with how we are. And that's just like the weird reality of sports, right? Like John is a Laker fan. He associates himself with, I would say, the hardworking mentality of Mamba, right? Magic Johnson, of how he's wholesome. As Warrior fans, you could say Curry resonates with us because he's just like a good guy, right? The
Right.
49ers championship mentality. So, I mean, Rip City, I don't know what to say other than that at this point, your choice is to, one, either believe your superstar, two, believe your franchise that you followed with all these years. And if you doubt these two, entities in Dame and the Blazers, then maybe reevaluate who you follow and don't support that team, whether it be monetary value, effort, whatever it may be.
Yeah, I mean, like, I completely agree with what JJ is saying. I mean, this story, the thing that my mind goes straight to is I feel like the Blazers are kind of doing Dame Lillard dirty, right? I'm going to put on, like, my conspiracy theory hat. But if you want to chase away your superstar, this is probably the best way to do it, is to give him a list and include a name that you know the city of Portland is going to be sensitive about this hire, okay? We just had the Mavs hire Jason Kidd. We didn't hear a peep, okay? Because they know, right? They know what kind of history Jason Kidd has with the Mavs, and they knew that fan base would kind of overlook that. Chauncey Bilups has no history here in Portland. He has no... Their people are unaware of the type of person that Chauncey Bilups may be, so he doesn't hold the same kind of reputation that Jason Kidd may have with the Mavericks. And what I'm saying is that if you want to chase away Dame Lillard, is that you hide a bomb like that, and then you also say, as he's getting heat, okay, he's getting heat right now from social media, okay, we're talking about their own fan base is giving Dame Lillard heat. The front office says, we aren't going to announce our head coach until Tuesday. They're not even going Monday. They're going they're waiting another day of stories, of headlines, okay? And they're gonna say, we will address the press on Tuesday. If that doesn't scream, I'm doing Dame Lillard dirty, I don't know what does. Like, does Dame Lillard leave because of this? How would you guys feel if you were Dame Lillard?
I mean, in today's day and age, it's all about transparency. And the Blazers aren't being transparent whatsoever.
Yeah.
John, do you agree with that, John?
It's kind of weird, right? This is a weird situation.
It's kind of weird for me, yeah.
Yeah, the more you guys talk about it, the more it seems like it's more than just coincidental, right?
John is smiling because he's looking up photoshops of Dame Lillard in a Lakers jersey right now.
No, I did that a long time ago. It got old quick. I mean, yeah, guys, it's, you guys made great points about I don't know if they intentionally did him dirty, but you're right, they did him dirty. And if it's out of being naive and not thinking things through, then that's on you. But if it's also you knew what you were doing, maybe the GM O'Shea, they didn't want to take the hit. Maybe they knew that Dame Lillard was going to be the one who was going to get the criticism for this hire. Maybe that was their intention. And if that's so, that's even worse, right? So either, like, any way you slice it, you're right. They did Dame dirty, whether that's intentional or not. It's just yikes, man. It sucks to be a Blazer fan right now.
Yeah.
Can I ask you, Jin, because you were part of the Busted Bucket podcast, which is Blazer pod.
Right.
Like,
right.
Speaking in just basketball terms, when you watch the Clippers and how they play, do you think that translates well with the Portland roster?
I'm gonna say no. And the reason why I'm going to say no is because the roster, to me, for the Blazers, it screams that it needs a motion offense to me. It needs more movement. I mean, if you want to sit there and do like isolation basketball and see the same thing that you saw with Terry Stotts, this is a great hire, because maybe you'll get a little bit more defense with Chauncey. But man, offensively, like I can't agree with this. This is more of the same to me. What about you, John? What do you think?
Yeah, it's hard to say. I mean, on the surface, you're right. It doesn't look like it's going to do much for the offense. Chauncey Bilups was always he was a defensive-minded player. I mean, he made big shots in his career. He was a good three-point shooter, but I just don't know if he was that facilitator, that guy that was, running an offense. The Pistons had, at that time, they beat my Lakers in 2004. They were, they had Rasheed Wallace, they had Rip Hamilton, Tayshaun Prince. They had a lot of players who did everything well at their respective positions, and they knew their place. So I don't know if, not to go off too much of a tangent. I don't think. Let me step back. It remains to be seen. I mean, who knows? Maybe Chauncey Billups goes in there, has a complete turnaround with Portland, and they make it to the finals, right? That would be an ideal situation, but that seems like a long shot.
Yeah, Jane, do you like the pairing?
No, I don't. I mean, when I watch the Clippers play, I like what Ty Lue and the coaching staff has done in terms of plug and play, like the Patriots, where you have Reggie, Isaiah Thomas, Jackson come in and he's playing out of his mind. And then the Morris twin, Marcus Morris, having some games that are great. The other game we shot like 1 for 9, but whatever.
Or Terrence Mann.
Or Terrence Mann. But in terms of like the style of play, like what you said, it was the main criticism of Stotts was lack of ball movement. And that squad does not move the ball.
I don't remember what the exact stat is, but I'm pretty sure that they were in like the bottom 5 for assists per game, and that was the most aggravating thing to watch as a Blazer fan, because it's like their team so obviously needs ball movement. Those players need ball movement anyway. Now we're gonna go on to the next topic. We're gonna talk about kind of a heavy topic here, because Scottie Pippen is going crazy, man. He's just attacking everybody. His most recent dude, okay? Like, basically anyone who's losing in the playoffs, he's got something to say. And he wanted to talk about Kevin Durant. And, quote, this is what he said. KD, as great as his offense was, it turned out to be his worst enemy because he didn't know how to play team basketball. He kept trying to go for punch. Have you ever seen LeBron take a shot like that? He ain't gonna take that shot. He's gonna be smarter. He's gonna force a double. That's what KD wasn't able to do. KD can score better than LeBron, but has he surpassed LeBron? Nah. He tried to beat Milwaukee instead of utilizing his team. You see what I'm saying? LeBron would have figured out a way to beat them and wouldn't have been exhausted, and he may not have taken the last shot. LeBron ain't KD, and KD ain't LeBron. John, what do you think of his comments?
The word slander comes to mind. Total slander. I mean, well, first of all, let's go back. I mean, Scottie Pippen, you're right. He's mad at everybody. Maybe he's still mad about the Last Dance documentary or something? I don't know. Maybe we can blame MJ for this. I like some of the stuff that he's saying. It's just I don't know. It comes out of left field, and the thing about not being tired, LeBron not being tired. I mean, look, I'm not a huge fan of KD, but the guy played every minute in Game 5, and then almost every minute in Game 6. I'm pretty sure. So yeah, right. I'm pretty like anybody would be tired. Come on, let's be a little realistic here, Scotty. And I know that he's a legend. I know he's one of the top 50 players of all time, but a lot of this stuff just doesn't hold weight for me because it's not. I mean, it's just he took the only reason the Nets were in a position to win is because of KD. Let's be honest. Like, he put the team on his back. Yeah, he missed some shots, but he missed the last shot. But come on, the guy played almost every minute for the last 2 games, and Kyrie was hurt, and Harden wasn't 100%. So, as much as I don't like KD, I don't like his antics. I don't like the fact that he has 1,000 burner accounts on every social media platform. You know, he's still an amazing player. Let's give props where the props are due.
JJ, what do you think?
Well, we didn't even discuss what was the clapback from KD, which was
let's
the
do it.
great Scottie Pippen refused to go in the game for the last second shot because he was in his feelings. His coach drew up the play for a better shooter, which was Tony Kukoc. And then someone tweeted, he also, when he says Pippen missed Game 7 for a migraine. That was against the Pistons, for those who forgot. Nothing but soft blank clown. And then KD said, yeah, this guy, Scott, also wanted to enjoy his summer, so he chose to rehab during the season. LOL. They followed Phil, not you. So, here's my 2 cents in this.
Damn.
Scottie Pippen, I don't know if you have the right to say whatever you want because you're top, 50 players of all time? I'll say that,
yep.
right?
Right. Yeah,
but
that's correct.
if you attack someone, they could attack you back. My thing also is that, okay, KD just showed us that he's sensitive once again. He has. I don't blame him. I don't blame him for clapping back though. But I'm just saying, like, would anyone else clap back?
Yeah, like you said, I'm not actually. I'm okay with KD responding to something like this because Scottie Pippen, he's well known in the basketball community. Everybody, people that even casual fans know who he is, just because the Bulls were so big back in the day. And he's a figure, right? The problem is when KD responds to 14-year-old Joe who lives with his parents and plays, Fortnite every day. It's just so I'm okay with it, like you said.
Yeah, I mean, he's okay. So what KD did, I'm sort of okay with because he actually was responding to like 14-year-olds because like he looked for his favorite comments and then is like, I'm gonna add on to this one. Like he didn't like make his own comment. You know what I mean? So that's a little childish to me. But the thing that kills me about Scottie Pippen's like comment is that we've seen LeBron James tired. Like, are you kidding me? 2015 finals. He was completely he was so exhausted. He came out with a fake cast on his arm. I don't know if it was fake, but basically said like, I have a broken arm and that's why I lost because I carried this 2015 team without Kyrie and without Kevin Love. He looked completely gassed. So anyway, and then Scottie Pippen goes on another rant. Okay, he's now gonna target Ben Simmons because I don't know, maybe because KD just slammed him on his comments. Is like, maybe I'll go for an easier target. But on Ben Simmons, he said, I watched a lot of games that Doc shouldn't have had him in the fourth quarter. If I give you a deck of cards and I give you a deuce of hearts and a deuce of diamonds and we play in spades, so why you keep grabbing those cards when you know you're gonna lose in that category? This kid's been this way the whole time, and Doc brought him in and set him up for failure. He's been like this, and you guys know he's been like this, and Doc kept putting him in the game and kept letting the team do fouls on him, take him out of the game. The Lakers did it with Shaq. He's bigger and more dominant and probably more fearless than Ben Simmons. Doc made him be a failure. Did Scottie hit it on this one, JJ?
I think he did. We talked about it where Doc kind of set him up for failure, meaning that there were situations where Ben Simmons could have used his height and his athleticism, but then it was just like, give it to Embiid, who's not a guard or not a forward, get the ball on top and try to score, which is not a center's role in basketball, right?
Right.
We've seen people who can't shoot, like Draymond, a lesser level of Ron Artest, Rodman, where they know their strengths and they utilize their strengths as role players. Like Ben Simmons, don't get it twisted, people. A few years ago, they were saying that he could be MVP caliber talented.
Yeah.
And I felt that Doc Rivers, like what he always does, just destroys his superstars. Paul George, Chris Paul, the list goes on.
Right. John, what do you think?
So I have a few thoughts on this. One of them is, I'm guessing that Doc Rivers, and I think I agree for the most part with what Scottie Pippen said, but I think that Doc Rivers, his reasoning is Ben Simmons he can help you in other ways than obviously than just score, which is why he's still in the league, right? He can rebound, he can dish, he can defend. He's an elite defender, but a lot of that really wasn't on display. And I think the fact that he was afraid of getting fouled, afraid of shooting, that affected other aspects of his game. So I agree with Scottie that he shouldn't have been in the game because he actually wasn't bringing anything else to the table other than with the, on top of his lack of shooting or his lack of, free throw ability. My question about this comment, though, for Scottie is the Lakers did it with Shaq. I'm a huge Laker fan. I watched the Lakers since I was a kid in the 80s all the way to the 90s with Nick Van Exel, Eddie Jones, and that crew. And then in the early 2000s with Shaq and Fox and Horry and Kobe. I don't remember the Lakers doing it that much, and maybe my memory is not serving me correctly, but I think they left him in the game, and Shaq, if I remember, Shaq was bricking lots of free throws at the end of the game, and he made ones to win, but Phil always took that risk and left him in the game because he knew that Shaq was just a dominant force. He would command double teams. He did all the things that you need. A lot of positive things which outweigh the negative ones, which was he was an awful free throw shooter. So I don't know if I agree with what Pippen said there, but maybe I'm wrong.
Yeah, no, John, I completely agree. I think the point is that Shaq was able to stay in the game, like you said, because his lack of free throw making, he had other parts of his game that were just so much more dominant and gave him reason to be on the floor. Ben Simmons, I mean, bro, you're going to really not shoot for 3 games in the fourth quarter? Like, you're really going to do that? Like, in a 7-game series, you're really going to shoot, 3 field goals in fourth quarters? Like, that is absolutely insane. I think Scottie Pippen kind of nailed it on the head, but also it was kind of an easy target for Scottie. Right?
Just to add one more thing to which the TNT crew talked about with Ben Simmons, and I felt that this was very true, which is Chuck and Shaq both said a coach can't make you confident, but they could definitely take away your confidence.
Yeah.
Like there's a reason that Ben Simmons averaged 18, 7, and 5 during the regular season.
Yeah, I agree. I think Ben Simmons, hopefully he gets, whatever's going through his head, he gets over it, because he's definitely a talented player. I know that someone out there is going to take a risk on him and trade for him. But anyway, that's actually all we have for tonight's episode. JJ, thanks for being on, man.
Thank you.
John, thank you for being on.
Always a pleasure, man. Thanks to all our listeners.
And of course, shout out to our video producer, RJ. I'm Rosa Panza. And of course, this is the Clinic All NBA podcast. Come find us wherever you get your podcast.